Attention coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs. Is your professional bio embarrassingly boring and ineffective? Today, discover how to instantly access the fortune that lies hidden in this often overlooked yet important tool for your business.
A bio that attracts clients is different than a bio that would be used to open the door with a podcast host, or different than a bio that would be used to pitch yourself as a speaker to a meeting planner. One size bio doesn't suit all situations, just like when you go shopping for clothing.
I'm Ken Newhouse. Building a profitable business isn't only about generating leads and driving sales. It's about who we are and what we're made of. It's about finding the most effective methods to persuade, inspire, and ignite the imagination of others so you can succeed in business. If you're a member of the new breed of entrepreneur, I invite you to join the quest as we reveal the newest and most effective methods you can use to get clients now. Are you making the mistake of using the same bio on your website, your one-sheet, book cover, and your blog posts? Do you realize that having a magnetic and irresistible bio will help you convert more prospects into paying clients? Is your bio repelling prospects when it should be creating opportunities and transforming those prospects into paying clients? Even worse, perhaps you don't have a powerfully written bio and you don't realize that it's costing you a boatload of money. Listen, most coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, and professionals have a resume or CV curriculum vitae, but never realize that they need a powerful and strategically crafted bio to get them into the stadium where the game is being played, and that not having a powerfully written bio virtually eliminates them from being considered by high-value prospects. Did you know that the majority of people who do have a powerful, strategically crafted bio use it in every case where a bio is required? This is an enormous mistake that caused them to lose out on more business opportunities than they could imagine. A professional bio can be a powerful tool when used correctly, and if you want to give yourself the best opportunity for success, you want to create an individual version of your bio for the various opportunities you encounter. Ironically, most entrepreneurs aren't aware of this fact and unfortunately never figure out why the stellar bio they have doesn't get them into the game and land them more clients. In the new COVID economy, where business has become hyper-competitive, you want to give yourself every advantage possible over the competition. And investing the time to create a bio for every imaginable business scenario is one of the smartest things you can do to achieve that. I'm Ken Newhouse, host of the Get Clients Now podcast, and today is episode 382. My guest on today's episode is Nancy Juetten, best-selling author of Bye Bye Boring Bio and founder of Get Known, Get Paid. Juetten's clients include legendary marketer Alex Mandossian, Steve Olsher, editor and founder of Podcast Magazine, Cloris Kiley, author of Beyond Influencer Marketing, and dozens of top entrepreneurs you'll find online. And by the end of today's episode, you're going to learn how to create a bio that is magnetic and irresistible to your perfect prospects and clients, and you'll learn the framework for creating every version of your bio that you're going to need. Imagine what having an amazing bio will do for your business, and then imagine what having 3 or 4 amazing bios specifically written for key business opportunities will do for your business. If you're like me and if you're like my most successful clients, that excites you. So if you're ready, let's bring Nancy Juetten onto the show. So Nancy, it's awesome to have you on the show. You are, as I mentioned in the introduction, your bio is stellar. So on behalf of myself and the members of the Get Clients Now Nation, I want to welcome you to the show today. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
So Nancy, one of the things that I do right out of the gate is I like to ask my guests about their backstory, but today I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to take a little different approach. And it's based on emails that I've been getting. I think they're very serious emails, but at the same time, they're just posing honest questions. And so I want to address that. I think they're fair questions that I've been asked. But I want to challenge you just a little bit right out of the gate. So you got the best-selling book, workbook. It's a phenomenal book. You got an awesome coaching program. But for the person listening, why should they listen to, as an example, let's say they want to get new clients or they're looking to get booked on multiple podcasts as a featured guest, or in fact, they want to sell more of their books, whatever it is. We're in the middle of COVID. They got voices coming at them from every imaginable angle saying, hey, look at me, I can help you, I'm the best, I'm the smartest, my plan works the best. Why should my listener invest the time to listen to you? And more importantly, why should they see Nancy Juetten as someone that they definitely want to pay very close attention to and follow what she says?
That is a brilliant question. I'm happy to answer it. With COVID-19, the world has turned on a dime, and business owners across the world are having to pivot their message from what they used to do to what they are now doing so they can attract clients, connections, collaborations, and cash. And that means that everyone needs to revisit their message so that it's on point, relevant, and of service to the right people. And for the last 10 years, I have personally reviewed, updated, upgraded, and magnetized thousands of bios for luminaries and aspiring luminaries who just can't get out of their own way to say what's brilliant and amazing about themselves. It's a funny thing that it can be sometimes easier to write a 50,000 word manuscript that's a nonfiction book than it is to write a 50-word bio to introduce yourself on a podcast, a broadcast, or another stage. And yet with podcasting being such a big deal right now as the world goes virtual, if you can make yourself podcast ready, on message, and on point, you can reach millions of people with your message. And I have been doing that for more than 10 years. And I've done it for myself. A quick Google search will demonstrate, even if you don't know how to spell Nancy Juetten, just type in Bye Bye Boring Bio and see how many millions of references come up. I walk my own talk and my clients take the message, use it to their own benefit, and welcome those results again and again. Amen. That's why I think I'm an excellent resource to talk about this.
Yeah. And if you look at the people who first of all, I know many of the people who've gone through your coaching program, they're personal friends of mine. These are heavy hitters. And for them to actually go through your program and say the things they've said about your program, Cloris, we brought up Cloris earlier. She's one of them. The fact is you've got just phenomenal recommendations by all these people. And these are not people who are affiliates. Like I guarantee everyone's book that's on the show with me, or in fact, their coaching program, I don't get any affiliate kickbacks from anyone. I guarantee their work because their work is that good. And so I want there to be a clear line of demarcation so that my listener will know, hey, listen, Ken's only recommending this. Ken's putting his neck on the line here, trying to bring me something of super high quality value. So I don't get anything in return from my guests, but I will say this, with all the people that have gone through your coaching program, all the people that have endorsed your book, I'm impressed. And that's one of the reasons Cloris's recommendation is what got me turned on to you as far as your work. And I have to say, I'm totally impressed. You just mentioned COVID-19. And so we've got the listener who, could be a business owner, small business owner, could be an online entrepreneur, but they're struggling as a result of COVID-19. So what would you say to that individual? What would you say is their biggest threat, the biggest challenge that they have to overcome as it relates to the topic of today's episode, their bio? As a tool, what is their biggest challenge in light of the new reality we live in called COVID-19? What is their challenge to create a powerful, effective bio that, number one, gets them into the ballpark, gets them into the game?
The biggest challenge is being afraid of moving in new directions to expand and amplify their message. And my workbook is targeted specifically for speakers, experts, and authors that want to raise their voice and make their impact. And if you think about what has happened during COVID-19, if you were a stage speaker, things pretty much came to a halt right around March 1st. And that is very disempowering. And so my advice, my message is, if you want to speak more, then speak more. And what are your choices? You can speak from your own platform, or you can speak from platforms where you can create influence with podcast hosts such as yourself. If you can balance speaking to your own tribe and speaking to new tribes from your home computer with a brilliant message that solves an urgent problem that your ideal clients need to hear, and you can find the right avenues to share that message, you can be speaking and bringing a boatload of leads to your business every single day. And I want to tell you why this matters. This is personal. I grew up in Southern California, and my dad was an actor in Hollywood, and my mom was a homemaker. And that meant that my dad would prepare for auditions for television, radio, movie, that sort of thing. He'd go to the audition, he'd feel that he nailed it, and then he would come home and we would all wait and hope and pray that the phone would ring and he'd get the gig. Sometimes he got the gig, and a lot of the time he didn't. And that meant we were clipping coupons and not buying name brand items and wondering where the next meal was coming from. And as a kid growing up in a household where I had no control over anything, I thought to myself, this is a horrible way to make a living, where you are disempowered from doing your magic because you're waiting for someone to give you permission. So as a young person, I realized I don't ever want that to be my scenario. So for those who want to be in control of their economic destiny, and for those who love to speak out loud to share their expertise in a way that can change lives, speaking is a powerful mechanism to do that. And you can speak on a podcast every single day of the week if you want to. And if you are brilliant in delivering your message and you create great rapport with the host and you offer something that meets an urgent need, you can ping pong those listeners back into your world, and you can turn those leads into conversations that can turn into collaborations and cash. And that is an incredibly empowering place to stand in this age where we are in COVID-19, where so much is out of our control, but this is one thing that we can control.
What I try to tell my clients and our coaching members, you got to have a great bio just to get into the ball game. You could have the most incredible product or service, coaching program, whatever it is, the most incredible business literally on the planet. But if your bio is so milquetoast, so pathetic that it's not magnetic, it's not irresistible to your perfect prospects, none of that matters. The bio is the key that opens the door to get you into the ball game so that that's where you can actually do your shining. So, I want to kind of go back to something I mentioned earlier about your coaching program. I don't want to focus too much on it, but I want to ask, I would say it's an unusual question. You've worked with some of the best marketers online, some of the most successful people, but you also work with a lot of, without being demeaning, because I consider myself just like an average business owner. I've been blessed and fortunate to have the success that I've had. But you're around people who, on a very intimate level, share things with you. And so my question is this: what would you say in light of all that's going on right now? What is the one thing they share in common? If there is one thing, what's the most prevalent or the one big commonality they share? The challenge, the burden, the uncertainty that literally has these people laying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, as Mean Old Dan used to say, sometimes maybe laying in a pool of sweat, just gripped by uncertainty.
Well, there's several things going on. People are obsessed with perfectionism, and they're obsessing about getting their bio right, and they're letting that stop them from showing up in a bigger way. Number two, people don't like to write or talk about themselves. They think that people should know already what's awesome about them. So they have a resistance to being braggadocious or self-promotional. Number three, some people are stuck in a muddle and they haven't really identified who their ideal client is and the big wow that they deliver for those people. And as a result, their bio is lackluster instead of blockbuster. I think if we were to look at our bios from a new perspective and say, how can this be a door opener to a conversation I want to start with someone who's perfect for me? Then you can lead with the wow that you bring for your ideal client, and then frame in 3 credibility boosting points there might be as to why you're the perfect magician to bring in the magic. But if we make it about our client instead of making it about us, I think that allows us to step into service first. And then when people know that it's in it, what's in it for them, they're more than happy to find out why you're the one to deliver the magic. And that's where the connection starts. But I think if we start thinking about our bios as how we can attract our ideal client to be interested in the big result we bring, we're going to be off to a much faster start instead of burying the lead, which from my background as a journalist, you always bring the juicy stuff first.
Absolutely.
So that the editor can cut out the rest. Don't bury the good stuff to the very end. And if you can't tell what the good stuff is or the bad stuff is or what the relevant stuff is, look at it today with fresh eyes and say, is this a story that I want my ideal clients to know right now that's relevant to what I do right now, that's going to solve a problem that they are urgently waiting to address right now? And when you look at it from that perspective, you're probably writing yourself a whole new story that's going to be that much more compelling right now.
Nancy, speaking of journalism, I'm a direct response copywriter, have been for over 20 years. Experts talk all the time online about the connection piece. You talk about it in your book extensively. You give some phenomenal advice. But based on your experience, what's the biggest challenge? First of all, what's the connection piece? What's the biggest 1 or 2 challenges, mistakes people are making in their connection piece, their bio?
The connection piece with the bio is really, really important. It's not just about what you do and who you do it for and why it matters. It's the mission that you're fighting for. And it's why you do what you do. It's the win for the client that matters the most. So if you can go there quickly and make that clear, you're going to make a connection, because everybody knows that until you make it interesting to them, you don't have a connection. The other thing is that sometimes we try to be all things to all people, and we need to be the right things to the right people. And I think one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever heard about niching is to stop trying to make not your people your people. And you know what that feels like when you're trying to bring in the whole world into your business and it feels very misaligned. Your stomach, your head, and your gut will tell you this is not the right thing. So be really crystal clear. And I'll tell you something. When I wrote the first edition of Bye Bye Boring Bio in 2009, I wrote it for entrepreneurs and solopreneurs that were hanging out their shingle for the first time. With the workbook that I debuted this year, I shifted my focus to address speakers, experts, and authors because that's who I am. I can speak that language. Those are my people. So be clear who your people are, because if you don't know who your people are, you're going to miss the boat and you'll be at the train station instead.
Everybody knows that getting your prospective clients to feel like they know, like, and trust you is paramount to your success. And in the book, and this one caught me off guard in the sense that I knew these things, but I'd forgotten and hadn't been utilizing them as much as I should. But you cover 8 elements or tips, and they're really more in-depth than tips, on how we can create the feeling of know, like, and trust in the subconscious of our perfect prospects before we speak a single word to them. And I'd like you to just go over a couple, maybe 2 or 3 of what those might be.
Before we speak our word, let's make sure we have a relevant current headshot that reflects who we are and what we look like right now. Because if we're going to fib about what we look like, what else might we not be telling the truth about? When you speak to your stunning results, speak the truth in specific terms. If you're a New York Times bestselling author or a Wall Street Journal bestselling author, go ahead and say so. If you say you're a bestselling author, but you've only sold 3 books, only to your sisters and your mom, that's not telling the truth. Another mistake is being boring and undifferentiated. Sometimes every banker sounds the same. I went to this university. I got an MBA. I went to Pacific Northwest Banking School. I live in a prestigious neighborhood with my beautiful wife and my 2 happy kids. Every banker's bio sounds the same. You could say something specific and terrific about your philosophy and what makes you different and preferred. That can be a door opener. For example, my husband is a certified financial planner professional, and he starts his bio with a quote. People hire me for my head, trust me for my heart, and value me most when I use both. One sassy soundbite at the start of a bio that speaks your philosophy can help create know, like, trust, and connection very quickly so that people will read the rest. And if everyone could start their bio with a statement of philosophy, we would know that we were dealing with more of the right people at hello. And isn't that really what it's all about?
Yeah, dealing with the right prospect, the qualified prospect. You know, the one thing we can never get more of, I've told you this time and time again, you can always make more money. You can always get more clients, even in COVID. There are ways to get more clients and make more money. We can't get more time. And so putting yourself in front of highly qualified prospects who your marketing has literally predisposed them to want to buy from you before you ever meet with them, your bio is a huge part of that, is critical to your success. It's a great point, Nancy. You have to make sure that you're investing time with only qualified prospects. I'm going to loop back around to something you mentioned earlier because it is a topic of concern that comes up frequently. As I mentioned, I've been a direct response copywriter over 20 years. You're a journalist. In talking with a lot of my friends who are marketers, talking to clients, members, they don't have any problem for the most part writing really good copy, writing marketing copy. But when it comes to writing about themselves, they, as well as I, find this area of writing to be one of the most challenging things that I have to deal with when it comes to actually writing. Why is that? And what are a couple solutions, steps, or strategies we could put into place to help make that process easier?
I actually have a 5-step system that's really makes the process so much easier. Let's pretend that we want a bio that attracts clients. Let me say this. A bio that attracts clients is different than a bio that would be used to open the door with a podcast host, or different than a bio that would be used to pitch yourself as a speaker to a meeting planner. One size bio doesn't suit all situations, just like when you go shopping for clothing. If you put a potato sack on, you've got clothes on, but it may not be flattering for this situation. So if you need a client attracting bio, first decide what kind of a bio you need and what your goal is. Then I want you to reflect on the who, the how, and the wow about who you're here to serve, how you help them, and the wow, the stunning results that you bring about for those clients. Then I want you to think about your personality and your credibility and what you have to bring to the party, and find at least 3 things that you can bring. If you're an Amazon bestselling author, if you shared the stage with big names, if you have grown from startup to 7-figure business owner in 6 months and have advice to share to help others pave a similar path, you've just packed your bio with credibility and proof to help people know that you are someone to be trusted. Always put your personality in there, and then make sure that you are ready to go with the length of a message that will be right for the situation. Because a 50-word or a 100-word bio is going to be the hardest working tool in the shed for opening big doors. So if you're spending a lot of time writing a 500-word bio, I would also say, don't do that, because nobody will ever ask you for that. But you will be asked for your 50-word or your 100-word bio 5 days a week, if that's your desire to get on a podcast or to, whatever.
How many different bios would you say are possible?
If you're playing on social media, you've got 160 characters or more, 160 characters on Twitter. You've got 108 characters on Facebook, whatever you've got on Instagram. So if you've got social media, you've got to make sure that the bios on social media are relevant and aligned with what it is that you do and how you want to be known. If you're on LinkedIn, you've got to have a different kind of message there that's aligned for the way that LinkedIn likes you to share your information. If you're on a Facebook, if you've got an About Me page on your website, that's probably one of the most well-visited pages on your website after the homepage. And if your About Me page is lackluster, well, you just sort of missed an opportunity there. So there's lots and lots of bios. There's the bio for the back of your book that can turn people from browsers to buyers. So with so many bios, you can certainly see how a whole workbook could be created to help you create each and every one of them. But it is all based on those essential steps, which is decide what you need right now, reflect on the who, the how, and the wow, what makes you special, different, and preferred, put your personality in it, and make sure it's the right length for the situation so that everything feels integrated and of service to the people you're here to help.
Nancy, what about the typical business person, that typical entrepreneur? What about their bio? When these people come to you, what about their bio, when you initially see it, surprises you most?
What surprises me most is that people feel compelled to share everything they've ever done in their life, whether or not it's relevant and of service to what they're doing now. And my wish for these folks is to look at that message with fresh eyes today and ask if, number one, is the story still true? Is all the information within this message relevant to what I'm doing right now? And how can I make it shorter, sweeter, and more to the point? And oh, by the way, make it even more powerful by saying how you can invite people to do business with you or download a report or take some kind of a call to action closer in your direction. Because if you are what they're looking for, make it easy for them to buy, own, and refer by giving them a leg up to do the right thing that will serve everybody.
All right, here's my last question, and then we'll dig into a little bit more about how people can get your book, your coaching program. They can find out more about it. This is an extensive workbook. There's no possibility in it. We could do a show every day for a week, and we still wouldn't scratch the surface of all the tools and strategies you put in here. You got a template in there. It's a free template. You got a whole bunch of cool stuff in there. But what's the one question that I didn't ask you today that I should have asked?
Well, I think that we can talk about bios all day long and twice on Sunday. If there was another question I would have loved to have asked is what happens when your bio is on the money, and why does that matter? And if people could get that in their mind first, a bio is a door opener to the something more that we all want. If you want to be on 5 podcasts next week, a media one sheet that you prepare that makes clear what you talk about, what the audience will learn, why you're qualified to talk about it, and how the host can get in touch with you is going to be the most powerful tool in the shed to turn heads and open doors. And when you can speak to thousands of people from your home office and make a difference, that's going to bring the leads your way. So don't obsess about the bio for the bio's sake. Obsess about the bio because of the doors to the bigger opportunities that it will swing wide open when you nail it and feel confident about it, because that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the magic happens.
Sweet. So tell us how we can buy your book. I know it's on Amazon. It's actually one of the best-selling books on Amazon in this genre. But tell us, besides Amazon, how can we get the book?
My website is getknowngetpaid.com. And you can simply go to the Let's Work Together drop-down menu and find the tab for Bye Bye Boring Bio 2020 workbook and make your purchase there. I would also say that the preview for the workbook debuted on Amazon as number 1 in 4 different categories the first week of July. And if you're one of those dip your toe in the water before you buy kind of people, simply go to byebyeboringbio.com to download that Amazon number 1 best-selling workbook preview. It's 26 juicy pages of points to bring pizzazz to your message, examples against which you can model your own message. And there's even a video where you can learn how to make the most of virtual speaking so that you can be empowered to make the most of your upside starting right now. And that's absolutely free. And I highly encourage you to go and get it because that's how you and I met. You reached out to me and said you bought the book on Amazon and loved it and let's do a conversation. So those are the kinds of calls that all authors are looking for when people find them and say, I bought it. I loved it. I want you on my show. If this preview was good enough for Ken to say, hey, let's get on the Get Clients Now podcast, it'll be something you'll enjoy as well and get great value from.
Absolutely, guys. It's definitely, like I said, it's not a one-time read. It's a workbook. It's something you can refer back to over and over again. Quickly, tell us about your coaching program.
I have a program called Podcast Dream Guest Mastery, and it is a mechanism to help you get on message, media ready, and media savvy so that you can be the podcast dream guest that hosts can't wait to book. And when you take in the deep dive lessons that I go over 5 different videos, and you use the Bye Bye Boring Bio workbook that is part of that program together, you will emerge with all the tools that you need to prepare, pitch, prioritize, ping pong listeners into your world, and profit from every guest spot you are lucky to take. And when you learn that and doing the workbook, you will be the podcast dream guest who has empowerment to speak more wherever you want to by being that brilliant guest. And it's called Podcast Dream Guest Mastery. And I hope that you will take a closer look at that.
I'm going to guarantee that program as well with one caveat. Nancy is going to tell me if you have to, number one, you have to watch and attend all the trainings. If there's work that has to be done, you have to do the work and provide proof. Obviously, this is not, a $20 book or $10 book that I'm guaranteeing. This is a little bit more than that. But this will provide a return for you in multiples of not only the money you invest in the coaching program, but also the time. You can't get more time, and I value your time actually more than your money. And so I try to be sensitive. I guard my time more than anything because I hate wasting time because I can't get it back. And so with respect to that, when I guarantee someone's coaching program, realize that you can't just sign up and then 2 months later say, well, I didn't get anything out of it because you didn't do anything. That's not going to cut it. If for any reason the book doesn't float your boat, email me at customerservice@kennewhouse.com and I will promptly give you the money for either the book, the coaching program, or both. But I wouldn't have Nancy on the show if that was a concern of mine. So Nancy, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up.
This whole thing about podcast guesting became super hot during the COVID-19, and talk about being taking empowerment. I created this training and I've already guided 350 people through it. And everyone had a consistently, dramatically, and fabulous experience, and he offered their testimonial to prove it. So I am all of the help and none of the hype. That is my hallmark. So put me to the test and see if that free gift exceeds your expectations. That will build the bridge of trust so that you'll be hungry for more. And if there's more that you'd like, I do lead the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook group, and it's very robust and highly engaged, and I'd love to welcome you there as well.
If today's conversation was helpful to you, I want to quickly mention a handful of episodes you may want to investigate in our library. One of them is episode 351, How Your Writing, Speaking, and Business Can Become More Persuasive and Influential Using the Art and Science of Storytelling. My guest on that episode was Annette Simmons, author of the New York Times bestselling book, The Story Factor, an amazingly talented voice on using the power of story to become more successful in business. And so if you're looking to create a powerful, strategically written bio, using the elements of story is an absolute must. Episode 351 is an excellent primer on this approach. I'd also recommend episode 354, Using Storymonials, which are subliminal sales strategies to get clients to do the selling for you. This episode uncovers how cognitive neuroscience, behavioral economics, and storytelling are used to create and deploy these new and effective social proof selling testimonials into your business, and specifically which you can use in your professional bio, each version of your bio. And it's a great complement to the conversation today with Nancy Juetten. Episode 351 is that one. And finally, episode 330, the counterintuitive social proof secret that's guaranteed to supercharge your storytelling strategy. Using storytelling in your bio will allow it to have maximum effect and impact on prospective clients and increase your opportunities to get clients now. That's episode 330 with me, your host, Ken Newhouse. All those episodes you can find on the kennewhouse.com website. Now, before wrapping up, I want to quickly mention that we're in the process of creating a free membership for you where you're going to be able to access the entire library of conversations searchable by topic since 2017. When you become a member on kennewhouse.com, you'll have instant access to my personal library, the book notes, and the highlights I've captured from Nancy Juetten's book, Bye Bye Boring Bio. You'll also have access to the other books and notes that I featured on the show for the last few years, plus access to a weekly strategy guide that'll come into your inbox every Wednesday. The guide will feature all the links we've mentioned on every show that links to books, resources, also other podcast episodes, as well as the most effective strategy we covered on that week's episode. Additionally, the guide will contain other articles online that I found that I think will be useful to you. So be sure to listen for the announcement when we launch the new free membership portal we're creating for you on kennewhouse.com. And in addition to all that I've mentioned, remember, the first 500 subscribers will get a free digital copy of the updated version of my book, Profitable Again, as well as the copy of my newest book, Profitable Podcast Blueprint, absolutely free. Speaking of methods that you can use to get clients now and make your business more profitable, Steve Olsher is my guest next week. Steve Olsher is known as the world's foremost reinvention expert, famous for helping individuals and corporations become exceptionally clear on their what. That is, the one thing they were created to do. His practical, no-holds-barred approach to life and business propels his clients towards achieving massive profitability while also cultivating a life of purpose, conviction, and contribution. A 30-plus year entrepreneur, Olsher is the founder and editor-in-chief of Podcast Magazine, New York Times bestselling author of What is Your What? Discover the one amazing thing you were born to do. He's also creator of the New Media Summit, host of the #1 rated podcast, Reinvention Radio and Beyond 8 Figures. He's an international keynote speaker and an in-demand media guest who's appeared on CNN, The Huffington Post, the cover of Founder Magazine, and countless other media outlets. So be sure to join me for a conversation with Steve Olsher next week. Have a great week. I'll see you guys on Monday. Take care.
Our objective with this podcast is to help you and your business stand out in the marketplace by crystallizing your messaging, marketing, and communications. On behalf of the whole Ken Newhouse team, thanks for listening.